Hello and welcome to All About Sport with me, Louise O'Reilly. I am here in the Hotel Kilmore to catch up with Milltown and Cavan native Laura Corrigan to find out about her success story and journey with the AFL. So Laura, thank you so much for taking time out from your busy schedule. You're back home here in Ireland, in Cavan. How are you enjoying being back?
Yeah, it's been busy. There's been a lot of visiting babies and meeting new nephews and nieces and all sorts. But yeah, it's always good to come home and just kind of recenter and see everybody.
So before we kind of get into your AFL journey, bring us right back to your early years with your club Drumlane, which I'm delighted to say we've played football together with Drumlane, but bring us right back to where it all began.
So back in the day, I suppose I grew up in the village and it was all boys, so I had nothing else to do but play football, and there was no girls team at that stage. So I remember asking the priest at one stage, he was over the boys team, could I play? And he kind of laughed and said, oh, go on now and play with the boys, and kind of let it go. And then eventually there was a girls team and played there and played with Cavan then for a few years, and then just wanted to go travelling, I suppose, after college, and had a few years teaching in Dublin. So went backpacking to Australia for a year, and that's where I picked up the Aussie rules and said, oh sure, I'd give it a go, I'm only here for a year. And then, nearly 10 years later I'm playing AFL, so a bit of a success story.
Absolutely. So you had great success. So you've initially played Gaelic football in Australia, but then you joined a club out there, the Diamond Creeks. Tell us about your club.
So I've been playing at Diamond Creek for the last 9 years and played in probably about 7 or 8 grand finals. So have played at the top level that I could have the time that I've been there, and then they were meant to be starting the AFL in 2020, and then the new AFL commissioner said, no, let's move it forward, there's the interest there, the talent's there. So we had the draft nominations last year, so I was like, might as well put my name in, what's the worst that can happen, I don't get picked. So draft day came and I was watching it at school with the kids, so it was live stream on the internet, and they were so excited, and any time a Diamond Creek player or a Laura was picked, they were like, oh my god. Unfortunately I didn't get picked up in the draft, but every club had 3 extra picks in the free agency period, and then I was like, well, there's no point in sitting back hoping I get picked, let's be proactive. So I messaged a few of the coaches and the different contacts I had, a few of the clubs in Melbourne, and then through that Debbie Lee, a girl I actually used to play football against, showed some of the footage of me playing that year to Mick Stenier, who was our head coach, and he was like, gee, that's exactly what we've needed, yes, get her on board. So got a phone call 24 hours later as I pulled up at school, and I was just like, oh my goodness. So I was pinching myself going into school and couldn't say anything for a few days until they did a press release, and actually a footy trip that weekend, so all the girls that were there were like, oh, you should have been picked, and it's so unfair. And I knew all this time that I actually had been picked but couldn't say anything, and it was a release that weekend, and it was great to share it all with the girls. And to this day I'm still kind of pinching myself that it all happened, because it was a dream. Being a professional sports person is what anyone who plays sports dreams of, and obviously in Ireland there isn't really that opportunity. So
the transition from Gaelic football to Aussie rules, how did you find that?
Well, obviously, playing with me, I was always one of the rougher ones, and got many of the yellow cards. So when I talked about going to Australia, anyone I spoke to, anyone sporty, were like, oh, you'll have to give that Aussie rules a go, you'd be great at it. And I kind of always wanted to give it a go, because to me it looked fun with the tackling and everything. So when I got the opportunity, I jumped at it. Obviously the ball and things like that were kind of took a little bit of adjusting, and it's 25-minute quarters, so I found the game really long. But after the first year or so, you kind of it just comes natural to you, I suppose, and the tackling was just an added bonus. I suppose you tackle someone, you get the free kick for tackling them.
So it kind of suited with your height. Then it just kind of, the game really suited you more,
definitely.
Than Gaelic football.
Yeah, I think so.
So do you still play Gaelic football with your club out there?
So a couple of girls from Drumlane actually are out there, Louise O'Reilly and Claire Tivenin. So I play for Sinn Féin, and we've won the last 3 championships. So really successful club and really supportive. So they've actually sponsored me with the AFL, and then the Victorian GAA have sponsored me too. So the Irish community and the GAA community have got right behind me, in this first year, and they're continuing. They've even got on to me about next year looking to sponsor me again. So I'm blessed with the support that I've had from the Irish community, and they've all come to games and brought the tricolours. So so far so good.
So just to kind of break down a little bit more about the AFL, you were saying there's only 8 teams in total, and obviously that was the inaugural season that you were part of. So it was obviously the first time this had happened, so obviously it was quite a big deal. And of course, you being an Irish player, coming from Ireland, obviously there was a lot of interest around you.
Yeah, there was a lot of interest. So I got picked up by Melbourne, which is actually the club Jim Steins played for, and when I got picked, I thought, it'd be lovely if I got his number, it'd be a nice kind of touch. So I asked the club about it, and they said, we've actually thought about it, and we want to give you the number. So that was a massive honour. And then going to Melbourne functions and meeting some of the lifelong members that were like, you'll do the number proud, Jim would be proud looking down on you. And then I was like, oh gosh, this is actually really big boots to fill. I hope I can do it proud. But I've since met most of his family, and they're delighted that, you know, someone Irish is wearing the number and kind of doing it proud. So, but yeah, like 8 clubs. So 4 based in Victoria and Melbourne, and then 4 kind of from around Australia. They wanted to start it really small so that the talent was really strong and rich, and then every 2 years I reckon it'll grow from there. So after the first year, pretty much every other AFL club were like, can we get on board? We want a license. So the broadcasting and the attendance and everything has kind of blown all expectations out of the water. So.
It's a great honour wearing Jim Steins' jersey number 11. Tell us a little bit more about the backstory about Jim Steins.
Yeah, so Jim Steins moved from Ireland and was picked up by one of the recruiters when he was about 18 and came over, and probably was one of the biggest success stories, and he was probably the first Irish to come over. I think he played something like the most consecutive games of any AFL player in history, and it was really successful, and won a Brownlow medal, which is kind of like the biggest honour that you can have in AFL. So he was a great success story, and he did a lot outside of football as well. So he set up the Reach Foundation in Melbourne, which was obviously helping youths, you know, maybe going through difficult times and putting in the right path. So he's not only loved by the football community, but he's loved by the whole of Australia. Yeah.
You had such a busy year. You know, you got married last year, and then you obviously applied and became part of this, you know, this team. You know, how did you kind of process all of that? And you know, did you take it all in your stride? Was it stressful? Was it exciting?
Yeah, it was really exciting, but it all kind of happened so fast. So the draft was in, I think it was October, and then we started training in November. So you kind of only had a couple of weeks to really get your head around what was happening before you were kind of, you know, jumping into it, and training schedules and ice baths and running around in 40-degree heat. So there wasn't really a lot of time to go, oh, am I ready for this? You were kind of just straight into it, and the club were great in supporting us because they knew what we were coming from, you know, local football training. You know, it wasn't as intense. So it was a massive shift for all of us, but they were really good in supporting us with that.
Take us back to the very first game where you were probably unsure whether you were going to make the team or play, but tell us about that and how that felt.
So we trained every Tuesday, Thursday and then Saturday, but obviously when we started playing games then the weekend training stopped. So on the Thursday night, the last training, obviously everyone was very nervous, everyone was trying to prove themselves, and we had dinner every night after training. So we're in the room, in our little club room having dinner, and then on the big screen they show, like, name the team. So I was like over the moon to see that I'd been picked. So obviously I was one of the last ones in, so I was thinking, oh, I probably won't get playing. I was the oldest in the team as well, so that obviously I was thinking that might have gone against me. So when I got picked for that first game, I was like, right, now this is my chance to prove myself and make sure that I stay in the team. So I was absolutely delighted. First game was against Brisbane. It rained, it was thunder and lightning. We had to go off the field at one stage, like it was horrific. Obviously being Irish, I was grand with the rain, like, and they were like, come on, we got you Irish, you can get us through this. I'm like, I'm one player. But anyway, we didn't win the first game, but it was good. It gave us a good kick in the backside and kind of brought us probably down to earth after all we'd been through. But yeah, to play that first game, to go out and people shouting your name and like little kids wearing your jersey and things like that, like it was phenomenal. And then from there, I suppose we kind of learned a lesson, like it's not going to be easy. So we trained hard and we won pretty much every game after that, apart from one other game of the round. Which
brilliant. So your position on the team and your main kind of, I suppose, skills that you're bringing to the team.
So I was pretty much like a full back. So I was like a lockdown. So most teams have one big tall forward. So I was kind of going to them each week, just kind of shutting them down and blocking them from making leads and doing things like that. So it wasn't like it was a tough position because you're playing on their best forward, you know, their big superstar, and you know I had to kind of stop them from doing any damage. So it was a lot of pressure. But the first week, I kept the girl to 1 goal, and she would have been one of their marquee players, so one of their top players on the big bucks. So I was really happy with that. And then every week after that, I played every game in the whole competition. So that was massive in itself. But yeah, it was a tough job because I never really played that position before. But I think they saw that they were my strengths, and that's why they put me in there, because I played on the wing, which is like a totally different position all year with Diamond Creek. So yeah.
Wow, brilliant. You obviously only got married. You've married an Australian, and you're the only Irish person on any of the 8 teams. So that's again in itself, you know, a huge, you know, mark and an honour.
So the only Irish player. There's not a lot of girls. I think I'm probably the only one in Melbourne that's playing, and then in Sydney I know there's a couple of teams up there that have a lot of Irish players, but I don't know if the girls nominated or they just didn't get picked up. But yeah, massive honour, and I think I'm probably the start of something very exciting, because obviously with the men coming over and making a career out of it, I think in maybe 10 years time I'll be looking back going, it was nice to know that I started that. You know, I think a lot of girls will want to go over and give it a go and, you know, make a career. Why not?
Absolutely. And going forward, where do you see yourself, you know, in the next, you know, 5 years? Are you hoping to be, you know, very much playing with the team and involved with the AFL?
Yeah, well, I'm 33 now, so I'm not sure how long I'm going to get out of it, but I've been re-signed for next year, which is great. So we'll play next season and then I suppose go from there. At this stage, it's all about like how I'm going. So managing injuries and keeping up, I suppose, with the young ones. But in my first season, they were blown away at, like, I was in the top, one of the top running groups, and I had no injury. So I suppose being able to look after myself and taking that time off teaching was really important, because I could make sure that I was getting enough sleep and I was doing my recovery and I was eating well. So like all those things come into play. So it'll be interesting now to balance being back teaching with all of that. But listen, as long as I can get out of it, I'm happy to keep going, and then obviously hang the boots up. But I'd love to stay involved in some way, but I'm not sure at what capacity.
Absolutely, because most people, I suppose, of your age, or usually sports people are winding down. When you're really just starting off your professional career.
It only was 10 years ago.
But it's really exciting. It's kind of been in the right place, also at the right time. And your family obviously must be so proud of you. You come from a very sporting background. How are they all feeling about it all?
Yeah, they're over the moon. Like, my brothers wanted to fly mum and dad over for some of the games, but as I said, I didn't really know where I stood, if I was going to be playing, and then obviously you couldn't just book a last minute flight to Australia. But they're delighted, and I think maybe next season they might come out for a few games, and I suppose they're just like me, they're blown away, and it's surreal. Like, so mum and dad used to get up at 5 and 6 every morning. One of our neighbours, Stephen McCann, had the laptop hooked up to the TV, so they got up and watched every single game and would ring me after and ask me, and what did that mean, and why did that girl get sent out, whatever had happened, because they still didn't really know the rules and be asking about different players. But no, they're actually hooked on it, so they'll be looking forward to next season.
Here in Ireland, how can we watch next season? It kicks off in November. Is there an opportunity for us to watch it online?
So my parents just went onto the AFL website, and there was a link basically to live stream it, so I'm sure it'll be the same next year.
Excellent. You have been obviously home, you're on a break home to Ireland to visit family and friends, but you've had a really busy week, and tell us about some of the significant kind of moments you've had this week.
So the Australian Embassy actually got in contact with me during the season, and were just sharing and tweeting about, like, obviously the first Irish girl, great success, and then said, the next time you're home, let us know, we would like to hold a function. So Tuesday night we were actually up in the Irish Embassy in Dublin, and they held like a little drinks reception for myself and family and friends. That was lovely, like a really nice touch. And then from that they actually got in touch with the ladies Gaelic football in Croke Park. Excellent. And we were invited along to the championship launch and got to meet all the county players, the captains, and a president of the GA and all that. So it was a really nice touch, and obviously coming from like a code that I suppose can be conflicting, or with Ty Connelly there can be some controversy taking players, I suppose, from Ireland. I didn't really know how I'd be taken, but no, everyone was lovely, and they were so proud, and they just, I suppose, didn't really know a lot about it, so they just wanted to hear how it was going, and what the training schedule was supposed to compare with county football, like what the standards like. But no, it was lovely. It was really nice to go there. Unfortunately, I'd be like to be there in a Cavan jersey, but anyway, I'll take it.
In comparison, what is the training like in comparison to train with your county and with the AFL?
Well, I suppose I haven't played county football in 10 years, so I'd say things have probably shifted a lot since then. But like we'd go into the club at 5 o'clock, and we'd have an hour for preparation, so taping, massage, sit down and look at clips from the previous training or game with the coaches and like go through it. And then at 6 o'clock we'd have a team meeting. We'd go through on the big screen like what our training schedule looked like, what we were going to be doing, different groups and things like that. Then once training was over, we'd come back in and we'd do our weights program. Then we'd head to the ice baths, and then we'd have dinner. So there was all like nutritional, like ticked off by them. So very healthy and then I'd drive home. So I'm an hour from where the training and everything was. So I'd have an hour in and then an hour back. So big days, yes. So that was 3 times a week. Yeah.
So you've just got married, you're a primary school teacher, and you must have an extremely supportive husband.
He's very good.
Best give him a mention.
He's very good, it's kind of like role reversal. Usually like you'd have the fella out playing football and the wife at home, but he's been very good, and he came to all the games, and he's excited for me because he knows obviously all the hard work I've put in, so he's very supportive.
And he doesn't mind all the attention.
The babies are on hold for a few years.
Absolutely. You've got to put this.
You've got to do what you've got to do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look at Nora. It's been an absolute pleasure catching up with you. I'm delighted that you joined us here on All About Sport, and we wish you all the success, and we'll be following your journey, and I just hope to see you playing for many more years to come. So thank you very much, Nora.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So thank you very much to my special guest Nora Corrigan for joining us on All About Sport. We're coming to you from the Hotel Kilmore. If you'd like to watch the show, please check out our YouTube channel, Drumlin Media, and you can also check us out on www.irishwebtv.com. So thank you very much for watching, and it's goodbye from me, Louise O'Reilly.